It was one of those strange nights when sleep feels deeper than ordinary sleep. The world was quiet, but somewhere in the unseen, something was moving. In the dream, I found myself standing in a place that felt unfamiliar. It was not exactly my house, yet it felt like a place where I belonged. The air was calm, and the ground beneath my feet was firm. Then suddenly I noticed movement in the distance. People were coming. At first I thought they were just passers-by, but as they got closer, I realized something unusual. They were not walking empty-handed. They were carrying money, bundles of money. Some carried it in their hands, some carried it in bags. Others held it carefully as if it were something important that needed to be delivered safely. What surprised me even more was that these people were strangers. I looked closely at their faces. One after another they approached, yet I could not recognize any of them. Their faces were unfamiliar, their voices quiet, their expressions serious, as if they were on a mission. And strangely, they all seemed to be coming toward me. One by one, they began to place the money before me. Nobody argued, nobody hesitated. They brought the money and dropped it in front of me, as if I were the one responsible for it. Soon the money started piling up. At first I wondered, why me? But instead of questioning it too much, I found myself doing something very natural. I began to arrange the money. I took the bundles and arranged them neatly. I organized them carefully, counting some, stacking others, trying to keep everything in order. It was as if the responsibility belonged to me. The strangers continued bringing more. More bundles, more bags, more money. The pile kept growing. Then, among the crowd of unfamiliar faces, I suddenly saw one person I recognized. Just one. Out of all those strangers, there was a man whose face I knew. When he came closer, I felt a little relieved. At least there was someone familiar in this strange situation. He approached me and said nothing, but his body language showed he had come to help me arrange the money. He knelt beside me and started helping. For a moment, the work became easier. 2 hands became 4 hands. The piles became more organized. But something inside me said something unexpected. Instead of letting him continue helping me arrange the money, I told him something surprising. I said, "Go back and bring more money from the people." He looked at me as if confirming that he had heard correctly. But I repeated the instruction, "Go and bring more." So he stood up and left to join the strangers who were still coming. And the work continued. More strangers arrived. More money was brought. And I continued arranging everything carefully. There was no confusion in my mind while this was happening. It felt purposeful, like a responsibility I had been given. Then slowly, as many dreams do, the scene began to fade. The strangers disappeared. The piles of money disappeared. The place disappeared. And I woke up. When I woke up, I sat quietly for a moment. Dreams sometimes come and go quickly, but this one stayed with me. The images were still clear in my mind. The strangers, the money, the familiar face, and the strange responsibility of arranging everything. I began to wonder about the meaning. Why were strangers bringing the money? Why was I the one arranging it? And why did I send the only person I knew away to bring more? Sometimes dreams speak in symbols. Sometimes they tell stories about the future. Sometimes they reveal responsibilities we do not yet understand. Maybe the strangers represented people I have not yet met. Maybe the money represented blessings, opportunities, or resources. Maybe arranging the money meant organizing something bigger than myself. And maybe sending the familiar man back to bring more meant the work was bigger than what 2 hands could handle. If this story spoke to you, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment.